Alright, Shalom. This is the brother Mayum coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone. Much blessing and salutation to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and sincerity. Alright, so I just want to do a quick video, alright, on a vision that I just had. It's 3:13 in the morning right now, and I just woke up out of the dream and the vision, and it was about the microchip. All right, and so I'm not gonna get really that many precepts. I'm just gonna give the dream, and Lord willing, this is edifying. We all pretty much know the scriptures on the RFID microchip. All right, Revelation 13, starting from verse 15 on down. All right, there's what's it called? Revelation 14, verses 9. Revelation 15, Revelation, what is it? I believe it's Revelation 19, verse 20. All right. So basically, what I had when I was in a dream was I was out here in Tampa, and I remember seeing all my family. I was with the brother Ash and my mother and my sister was also in town, and my dad was also here. He was in town. I didn't really see too much of him, but he was in town as well. And we were kind of all going to or we really all weren't going to the same place. It was mainly me, Ash, and my mother. And at first it seemed like we were going to, it might have been a hockey game. Out here in Tampa Bay, they got the Tampa Bay Lightning stadium. We're right down like a block over from where we do camp at. But as well, near the end of the vision, as you'll see, it also looked like as if we were in an aquarium, which is also on the same block where we do camp at. Like where we do camp at, if you look to the right, where we do camp, you can see the Florida Aquarium, and if you look to the left, you can see the Amalie Arena, which is the stadium for the hockey team. But nonetheless, it basically just started like that. Me, the brother Ash, and our mother, we were going into the game or whatnot, and we were kind of in the bleachers already, from what I can remember in the dream, in the vision. And then all of a sudden, it was like there was this huge, like, I can't really put my finger on what exactly happened, but all I remember was there was a warning that there was an evacuation, that people had to start to evacuate because of bad weather. All right, there was a bunch of lightning, literally like lightning strikes that were just striking the ground, like right in front of us, And so I remember we were kind of leaving, and somehow me and Ash made it outside. And our mom was still inside, but we went outside real quick, and we were gonna go look for our sister. And I believe we might have ran into our dad or whatnot, but don't really remember. But as we're going to go look for our sister, which was in a nearby apartment complex by the stadium. Um, and you know, the weather was pretty bad outside. It was really windy. It was dark and gloomy. All right, like the scriptures say, the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. All right, it's gloomy. All right, it's dark. A day of clouds. A day of heaviness. All right, so there was a bunch of clouds everywhere, and the people were everybody was really kind of outside. The people that were out on the streets, they were really all kind of out on the streets looking up, because it was, the lightning strikes that were coming down were kind of like what resembled the movie War of the Worlds, when the lightning strikes were kind of like, coming directly down, like right in front of people, and it was a lot of them. And I remember as we got into the apartment complex, it was one of those kind of like where Jake normally lives at. Those kind of like those cheaper apartment complex where, the doors of the apartment aren't inside of a building. They're kind of like on a balcony. So I remember we were kind of going up the stairs and lightning bolts started striking, and people were freaking out, and then I remember we got to the top, and people were all kind of gathered around this one area where a lightning bolt had struck. And you could see where the lightning bolt had struck, and it had came down through this building. It came down on the side of the building, and you can see the burn marks on the wall. And it kind of went, because there was like metal, there was like kind of those metal cages, the doors with the bars. Jake, when you live in the hood, you got that extra door on front of your door that's it's like all bars. It's like a metal frame with bars on it. Well, the lightning bolt had struck that wall, and you could see where the lightning bolt went down that metal door. All right, and then it jumped off from that wall and went across the onto the wooden or the metal balcony, and you could see where it hit the bricks. All right, but what was crazy about that was that door that it had struck. That was where my sister was staying at, and I remember opening the door, and she was just sitting there looking at the TV, eating something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but me and my brother didn't even say nothing to her. We just turned around and went back. We went back to the stadium. All right, so we go back to the stadium, and with our mother, and somehow we had made it down to the bottom of the stadium, and it started to rain really bad. And I was talking about rain to where it was flooding. There was water that was, they had basically tried to move people downstairs to because of the lightning, because it was, breaking. It was pretty strong lightning, and it was it was going through buildings, and it was coming down. So they were moving people to the bottom. And so this is the part where when we went to the bottom, it kind of turned into it was kind of looking like it was in the aquarium a bit. I remember there being animals, but nonetheless, so we're downstairs, and it kind of looked like if it was the players' locker room, more or less, of the stadium where we were at. And I remember there being a wall of doors heading to like this area where it led to a stairwell that would go up that would lead outside. So I remember being in that room, and then water started to come into the room, and they started evacuating people to go outside, and it was really bad water. And I'm telling my brother and my mom, I'm like, yo, we got to get out of here, because if this water keeps coming in, it's gonna flood. It's gonna flood this room, and everybody in here is gonna die. We need to get the fuck out of here. So as I started to say that and started walking towards the other room, out of what looked like the players' locker room, the water got real heavy, and it started getting up to my chest. Now I'm more of a taller brother, so I was like, yo, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, this water's like already up to damn near my neck, is, in my torso area, my chest. So we start going to the doors, and we get to the bottom of the stairwell, but it was more or less like an area of kind of like if brothers ever have gone to the stadiums or something, it's like a bunch of stairs going up and down, at an incline. And so basically it was a line to do this. And we were kind of basically the first ones up there. Not really the first ones, but we were like one of the first ones to get in line, because we had got out of there before it started to flood. Because now people are starting to panic and getting out because of all this water. So at the top of the stairwell, there was basically like a check-in station. Telling people to, they had to scan themselves out of the stadium as we were going out. And as we were going up to the stairwell, we came outside. We scanned our ticket to get out. And then they said we got to keep going, and we got to go up to the other check-in station. So when we get outside, it was like a grass field kind of with a hill. And there was a line forming going up the hill. And on the top of the hill, there were soldiers up there. There were soldiers everywhere, and they were calling everybody to evacuate because of the weather, that we had to go into shelter and all this and that. And as we got to the top of the shelter, I kind of lost track of where the brother Ash and my mother was at. They had got stuck back inside because my brother actually, or the brother Ash, that's my blood brother, he had actually what's it called, when we were inside the stairwell, when we got to the top to check out, he had turned back inside to go get my mom, because she was back in there. So they had kind of pushed me out, so I couldn't, I lost them. But then so I had to keep moving. And when we got to the top of the hill, there was the soldiers, they were scanning a new ID. All right, and it was like a kind of like in New York, where you got the subways. Well, when you slide your ticket to pass the little barrier to get into the subway area, to the platforms, it was kind of like that, what they were doing, the soldiers. And they were like, yeah, we're scanning these IDs, and it's gonna put your identity on them, your information on here. But when you go across, and it wasn't really anything extravagant, it was just that little station there. And then it was like kind of like a sharp right-hand corner once we passed them. And then there was like a whole wall of coolers with a bunch of water for people. But at the beginning of that wall with the coolers, there was another station, and that's where they had the microchips, the chipping station. And as the officer was scanning your card, he was like, here's your card. Take this to the chipping station and get your microchip. All right, and I asked the dude, I can't remember exactly what I asked him, but I was playing stupid, like I didn't know what it was. But I had asked him something. I was like, hey, I heard this and this about it. Basically, I was playing, faking the funk and asking him like, yo, like basically I heard this is bad. I didn't really get into too much details about it. I remember asking something along those lines, and there was this Jake that was next to me, his younger cat, and he said the same thing to the guy. And so we kind of cross over, and I'm like, man, I'm not getting this shit. So I remember jumping on top of the wall of the coolers and just running down it, and I see people at the chipping station. It was just a table with a bunch of needles, and there was like a box with the things, and there was people lined up for it, and there was people sitting down already getting the chips. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I hopped on the coolers, and as I was hopping down up on the coolers and taking off down the top of the coolers, the Jake that was next to me, the little Jake, the young Jake, he did the same thing. So we start running down, and we get to where the hill starts to go back down to where the people were coming out of the stadium. You remember, this was like a grass field. And so the Jake came up to me, and I asked him. I was like, how'd you know that about the microchip? How did you know not to get the microchip? And he was like, oh, that's the mark of the beast. I was like, yeah, I know it is. And I asked him, I was like, do you believe in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai? And he said yes. And I was glad, and I remember, grabbing him by the shoulder and saying, call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And I said, Shalom to him, and he said Shalom back to me, and I kind of embraced him, and I said that everything was going to be okay. And so then I can't remember, he was asking me a couple other stuff, and he's I was kind of looking around and listening to him at the same time, and he kind of asked me like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, I gotta look for my brother. We kind of got separated, so we were walking, and we were getting close to this tree area, and that's when Ash came out, and with my mother, and he came up to me, and he was like, hey, I came up to him, and I told him, I was like, hey, look, this is a brother, he believes in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And then that's when I started to tell the brother, I'm like, yo, at the top of that hill, they're making people get the RFID chip. Like they're doing this, and they're scanning the IDs with the identification, and that's what you give the other military guy when you get the chip, and they transfer your information onto the chip with that card. And then that's ultimately when I ended up waking up. But I actually, when one thing that I did notice when as I was looking for Ash right before I found him, I sort of, I could literally feel like my heart was pounding. My heart was pounding, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this is it. Things are gonna roll now. Like, this is it. They're trying to chip people mandatorily now, and this is it, man. Like, we're getting out of here. And then as soon as I seen Ash, I explained to him what was happening, and then that's when I woke up, man. But I gave all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai as I woke up, because hey, we're coming into the time where Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is getting ready to get things to moving, man. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is gonna roll this RFID microchip, and it's gonna be in situations like that, man. It might not just be that all-out chaos happens where people are rioting, all right, because of war or whatever. It could be because of weather disasters, man. And maybe what was happening was symbolic for something else. I'm not too sure at the moment right now, but things are getting ready to roll, man, and this RFID microchip is getting ready to come out. All right, the microchip is the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast. All right, and they're gonna make this mandatory, and it's gonna come a time where the Most High is gonna test us, man. All right. But like we read in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, or it's a lot. Revelation 13, or Revelation 3 and 10. Let me get it actually. Let me get this scripture. And I'm gonna close out on this. This is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right. So we have to have the spirit of patience in this truth, man. All right, because we're getting ready to come into a time of that temptation, which is the RFID microchip. You're going to be tempted to get that RFID chip. You're going to be forced to get that RFID microchip. But if you do, the Most High is going to put you to death, man. As you read in Revelation 14 and 9 and 10. You will be put to death. And in my dream, man, there was people, the line was stacking up. The line was going very slow because everybody was getting the RFID microchip, man. Me and that one other young brother were the only ones that didn't get that chip. And then Ash and my mother, they didn't even get in the line. We kind of just right before I woke up, we kind of just, I told him, and you know, the brother Ash, he was like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. And I remember telling my mom, don't get it, don't, because she kind of was standing there. And I told her, I was like, don't get in that line, don't get that RFID microchip. But you know, this can't be something that you're forced into or forced out of. You gotta willingly reject this. So I remember she was just standing there, and me and the brother Ash and his other young brother, we kind of just turned around and started walking. And then that's when I woke up. So I don't really know if she got in a line or not, but I could see that her look on her, the countenance on her face was, she was petrified, like she was scared, like it was actually hitting her, that everything that me and the brother Ash had been telling her these years was really hitting her. You know, she was conflicted. All right, and it's gonna come a time where the Lord is gonna do that, man. He's gonna test us. That day is slowly approaching, man. All right, but I just wanted to do this quick video on the RFID microchip. You know, this vision that I just had, and with that, Lord willing, you brothers are edified. I know brothers are gonna probably do some response videos, and you know, to further break it down. But that's basically the vision that I had. So, and like I said, it was very vivid. I remember vividly feeling my heart pounding in my chest after I had ran, you know, from that chipping station, and I was looking for the brother Ash as well. You know, I remember feeling my heart pounding and myself thinking, like, man, this is it. You know, things are getting ready to roll. They just had the RFID microchips chipping station there. You know, we got to get out of here. Like, this shit's rolling now. Like, this is really out here. So with that, Lord willing, you brothers are edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rachakudash, and I say Shalom.